Code of conduct.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. God made me punch in accurate numbers. My castle won't crumble. What I tackle will fumble. I've been a leader when they ain't see it, but now my feet up. According to me, royalty didn't end with King Tut. Crown on my head, clouds is at my legs. Big says sky is the limit. I look down on the ledge. I push the bar like I'm opening a cell. Hands in my cookie jar, you won't come out with a single nail. I need all of mine. The weight of my shoulders won't fit on a scale. What's a king to a giant? Well, Goliath fell. Even if we playing chess, dog, this king can't be checked. I make all my moves on the board. I invented my steps. I'm a king, the blood of a ruler. I feel like Mansa Musa. Make your squad disappear like landing by the Bermuda. Triangle, look at it from my angle. I'm a king, the closest thing to being one of God's angels. I'm a king. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I put in extra work that just can't be found. I took the sword out the stone, wasn't a thing. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king. Look me in my eyes cause I'm a king.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is the Code of Conduct with the King podcast. I am your host, JSpenceTheKing, and I am excited. Yo, I gotta. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm excited because it's the first show of the year. I'm finally able to kind of let my hair down and relax a little bit. I feel like, before the Bills got into playoffs, I've been on edge. I had a reason to be nervous about a lot of things. So now we can actually relax. We can chill on some things. And I want to try something new going into the new year. I want to take some time, and every month I want to highlight somebody who I think is doing a great job in Buffalo, who I think is passionate about the team, just like the rest of us. And I think has some good content. So the first show of the new year, I'm going to be highlighting my guy, Zach. And so I'm going to bring him in a moment. But I just want to go through the comments real quick, see who's all joining me tonight. We're going to have a good time. Steph says this intro gets me pumped. Yo, listen, there's this one particular line right at the end of it when he says, like, I'm a king, the closest thing to being one of God's angels. I'm a king. That's a shout out to Hooli. He's the one that did the intro for the show. Hi, Jamie, my sister of the show. This is Joe Miller's sister. Shout out to Amy and Jamie, and I hope mom is in the building at some point. Let's see who we got here. Eli, my guy. Eli, second place in the fantasy league. Ashley Petty won. Dang. Ashley Petty got us. He got us. My man Joe Miller in the building. So the family's here. My man Brian Bowers is in the building. We got everybody here. So we're going to get going. I'm going to bring my man Zach in, and we're going to make this thing happen. Zach, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to be here today.
Nah, man, I'm grateful that you had the time that you could take out to do this, man. And like I said, one of the things that I want to do for the new year is I absolutely kind of want to start using the little bit of platform that God has blessed me to grow and start putting eyes on some people. And I think you got some good stuff. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a lot about it. And we also going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about the game that we just had and the game coming up. So before we do that, let's let everybody know who you are, kind of what you do, so that way everybody's familiar.
Yeah, well, first of all, that intro had me just jam, put my head banging. That was lit, man. No, I'm Zach Jezioro. Some of you guys might follow me on Twitter already. As you can see, I have my Twitter handle right there below where my name is. I'm a writer. I'm a podcaster I used to be a writer, but now I podcast for a sports website called Couch Guy Sports. Go check them out, couchguysports.com. They got a bunch of great writers, podcasters like you and I, some YouTubers, some streamers. They got everything. Only bad thing is they are a Boston sports company, so who I have to surround myself, you know what I mean, with those Patriots fans. But you know what? They're cool people. They're not rubbing in my face. So, but no, I'm really pumped to be here, and let's get right into it.
Good stuff, man. That had to be fun during the Patriots weeks. So the first game when we lost against the Patriots, and then now the game that we beat them, that had to be a really interesting, back and forth between the, everybody with the network.
Yeah, it gives me I know. Don't you ever have a feeling where you wish that you feel like you're on the team and like you have that extra motivation to win the game. So you have that was me going to the Patriots league because like, okay, it's like it just hits different like when it's like Patriots, like, okay, now you know people who are tons of people who are Patriot fans. And you're like, oh my God, I need to have these bragging rights. And when we lost to a guy who threw the ball only 3 times, it was so devastating. And
Man.
then, yeah, it was awful. And then Josh Allen goes up there and slings around to Stephon Diggs and Isaiah McKenzie, and it was awesome. So
Yeah.
who knows? We
No,
might
and I
see
get you. I get you. That's one of those funny things too, man. Buffalo fans are different like that. So I think a lot of people can relate to you in that aspect. Like, feeling like, you know what? No, I'm part of the team this week, man. We got to get this done because
Yeah.
you don't want to, especially like you work with people like that, man. So for me at work, so I live in Phoenix, and there's a lot of people out here who are not from Phoenix. So you get people from literally everywhere. So it seems like every single week I have people talking crap to me about like the teams that we're playing. It's people like now we're playing the Jets. There's so many people out here from New Jersey. I don't let them claim New York. So I keep telling them like y'all represent a team that's not even where you from. So I talk mess to them. I talk mess to all my there's a ton of people here from, like you said, from Boston, New England area, ton of people here from Ohio. So I give them a hard time with Baker. I give him a hard time with Baker, man. That's an embarrassment. How you feel about Baker?
You know what? I like Baker, and I'm just not convinced that like he's this bad of a quarterback. Obviously, you could say that. Well, he's had Odell Beckham Jr. He's had Jarvis Landry, all these weapons, but he played really good last year. Like, that's what we expected out of the first overall pick. Like, you expect these guys to have high expectations going into their career. And
so, well, I'm curious. I'm sorry to cut you off there. You like Baker?
You know what? I mean, I don't like support the guy. I only care about Josh Allen. Like, I don't like hate Baker like I do with some other quarterbacks in the NFL, like Brady. But like, I shouldn't say I like him. I really don't care for the guy. Like, I don't hate him, but I don't like him. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like that.
Yeah, no, I got you. See, I give him a hard time for a few reasons, and everybody who listens to the show has heard this probably 1,000 times at this point. But I feel like the hype surrounding Baker when he came out of college, first overall pick, and the way he talked, the way he kind of carried himself was like he won 5 Super Bowls before he was ever drafted. And it's like he had his best season his rookie year. And then you look at everything surrounding who he is as a quarterback and the team. The team is talented, top to bottom, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like I read a stat earlier. Actually, I don't want to misquote it. Let me see, because I sent this to I got a group of guys that we are talking. So Jameis Winston has 1 less touchdown than Baker Mayfield this season, and Jameis Winston hasn't played football since Halloween. Like, that's an insane stat when you think about that. And I mean, and on the flip side, you could say it like Derrick Henry. I think he's like still like 6 in the league in rushing, and he's been out for weeks now. Right. So I get it. It could be good and bad on both, but Baker, man, and then my man Odell Beckham Jr. got a lot of flack, and then he goes out to Los Angeles, and now he's catching touchdowns. And Baker has only thrown, I think, 2 in the time that he's been gone. So I don't know. I just give him a rough time.
No, I get that. Like I said, that's a great point about like his being cocky. It's like you can't be cocky and then not back it up. What, like his best season was last year? Is that most likely?
No, I'm gonna go with his rookie season. I mean, last year wasn't horrible, but I'm gonna go with rookie.
Yeah, I mean, and we have our guy here in Buffalo who's slinging rockets and is having another great season after building off from last year. So I think we got lucky with them drafting Baker and then Darnold, the Jets did 3rd overall, and having Josh.
Now, see, Sam Darnold's the one that I kind of feel like could still kind of revive his career, and I'm sure Baker could too. I'm not going to say he is like done, but I think Sam Darnold, depending on the situation, the Jets were a dump fire. Like, there's nothing about the Jets that made me feel confident for him. And now even down there in Carolina, I'm just not. I'm not convinced that it's the right type of team, right type of coaching staff, any of that. Like, I'm not convinced. So, but we'll see. We'll see. But we got a couple questions, man. Let's jump into some of these questions. And this kind of leads right into something, because I was going to bring this up to you earlier or later in the show, but let's get going. Mafia wants to know, Mafia Talk, another great podcast, another great team. I'm gonna actually try to get my guy on here too. I believe Jay. I'm gonna try to get him on here as well. But he said, I got a question for Bills Mafia. After seeing our struggles at kick return, punt return, do we miss Andre Roberts? I understand the season he has, but would our special teams be a bit better? Are we good? Let me know. And so one of the questions I was going to ask you was, Stevenson put the ball on the ground, ended up making it a safety. So it hurt us. It absolutely hurt us. Like when McKenzie made his mistakes early on in the season, he had a couple turnovers, but nothing where it actually put points, like in the same play, to put points up on for the team. How do you view this? Do you feel like we're good right now at kick and punt return heading into the playoffs, or do you feel like you're not as confident heading into the playoffs?
It's a two-way street for me. Two-way street. For Stevenson, obviously he's a rookie, so that was like his rookie moment right there. But with McKenzie, I would feel a lot comfortable with McKenzie back there over Stevenson, especially going to the playoffs now. Like, I get why McDermott left him out there. Like, you want to get his confidence back up. And Spence, I'm not sure if you remember this, but they showed Stevenson on the sidelines after the fumble. Who was the first guy that came over to him?
It was McKenzie. He's a great teammate. Yeah, he's a great teammate.
So this is not a shot against Stevenson, but you're going to the time now where, okay, these wins are more than matter. Like, these are to get you to the Super Bowl and to possibly win the Super Bowl. So I would say ride the high hand and go with McKenzie. I wouldn't say we're good with special teams. I do miss Andre Roberts because he had he had so many great runs when he was here in Buffalo. And I go back to that Seattle game because he set us up in great position, and like 2 plays later we're in the end zone taking the lead already. So I'm still waiting for McKenzie to break one of those big runs because we see him every Sunday. He has the speed to do so. It's just a matter of executing it. So I wouldn't say we're good, but I would say I'm confident with McKenzie rather than Stevenson.
So for me, it's touchy, and I'll be honest. So like everybody, again, like I seem to, like when I get on a take and I believe in a guy and I push a guy, like I drive that thing home as much as possible. And everybody knows Andre Roberts was my guy. Like when he was with the Bills, I hyped him as much as possible. I made sure to be positive about him, because there were a lot of people that looked at Andre Roberts and was like, well, he's not getting touchdowns, so I don't, we need a better punt kick returner. And I'm like, okay, touchdowns would be nice, but touchdowns aren't everything. So first, I will say I absolutely miss Andre Roberts on this team. Like, I don't think that you have to have a touchdown from special teams in order for it to be successful. Anytime you have it to where you control the field position battle, I think that's a good thing. And that's what we had with Andre Roberts consistently. My man Eli is in the comments and he said, I don't think we miss Andre Roberts. He hasn't been as good as he was when he was here. And my only rebuttal to that would be is that the teams that he's played on aren't as good as the teams that he was on when he was here. So it's difficult to just say he's not as good. You don't know if those guys are maintaining their lanes. You don't know if those guys, like, you just don't know. We have great special teams players on this team. But as far as McKenzie and Stevenson, so I think I like McKenzie, but I think McKenzie is far more valuable on offense. And I was a little disappointed in the team this week because they didn't really use him the same way they used him last week. I thought that, after seeing him go off for 100+ yards, granted, we got Beasley back. We got, I get it. Like we started to get healthy and it's getting healthy at the right time. But I still very much want to see McKenzie in the offense. I don't know. Like, so as far as feeling confident going into the playoffs, I do like Stevenson. But I also understand he's a rookie. And here's where it's going to sound a little hypocritical, because I was very tough on McKenzie about this, because McKenzie made some mistakes and put the ball on the ground, and he didn't field a kick return. Here's the thing. McKenzie's not a rookie. And I think a lot of times we're patient with quarterbacks. Like when Josh wasn't doing good his first 2 years, everybody's like, oh, but we see it with Josh. He's going to be that guy. And he was, and he is that guy. But I feel like, Stevenson's a rookie. He, you got to, you got to give him that time to develop. And I've already seen, I've seen things that show me that he's good at this role. How do you feel about Stevenson going forward? Like, do you feel like I know you just kind of mentioned like you don't know how good you are going into the playoffs, but how do you feel going forward? Do you think that he can develop into that guy, or do you think that they're still kind of shuffling the cards after this offseason?
See, like that's a thing. We signed McKenzie for what, like 1 year only, and then as a free agent again. Is that what we did? Was a 1 year contract? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So you look at your punt returners and kick returners. So it's McKenzie, Stevenson, and sometimes they'll throw in Hyatt as well. So I wouldn't mind personally bringing back Andre Roberts maybe next season, just to give us like that, that veteran leadership guy there. I can see why people wouldn't want him back because I don't know, people have their own reasons. But I feel like if obviously McKenzie has still some stuff to work on. What is like his first year as a kick return punt returner. So I mean, we obviously saw him doing an amazing job at against New England as a receiver. I just wonder, okay, can you rely this guy to be not only like a dual threat wide receiver / running back, because we know how we use him in this jet sweeps and all that, but can you trust him giving your team good field position? So I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical about McKenzie, but at the same time, I do believe in him because he has the speed to do so. It's just the vision and then following your blockers for me, really.
Yeah, McKenzie, the speed that he has is insane. Like once he regardless whether it's kick return, whether it's he's a receiver and he's catching, passes out the slot or wherever, however he gets the ball. When he has the ball in his hands, he's insanely quick, he's insanely fast, and he does things with it that makes you excited. But I think the thing for me is on punt return and kick return is he just doesn't make decisions quickly. And when it comes to a split decision like that on special teams, those guys are already running at you 15 to 20 miles an hour, and you don't have a lot of time to really make too many decisions. And I think that's the part on special teams that McKenzie gets me. But I feel like on offense, when he catches the ball, he knows, look, I'm going. Like it just so I very much appreciate him in the offense. I do want to run it back to this one comment that Brian said. He said, I was hard on McKenzie, but he's clearly better than Stevenson, especially when it comes to vision. And I just said, a little differently. Stevenson gets lit up every time and routinely runs into his own players.
Yeah.
McKenzie for the playoffs. So I could see it. I could see both sides of the argument. I absolutely can. Shout out to Jessica. Hey, Jessica. But I can absolutely see it. The thing is, I just don't know if I'm really comfortable with either one back there. If I'm being honest, like going into the playoffs, this is the year that I feel like, first of all, during the season, we should have performed a bit better. I don't think we should be 10-6 at this point. I think we should be close to So whatever, if we're there. But then with that being said, I feel like the team is starting to click now, even though, and we're going to talk about the lack of offensive explosiveness this past Sunday, but I do feel like the team is clicking heading into the playoffs, which is the right time to click. The best teams don't like the Super Bowl winning teams in history. If you look through them, it's not rare that the best team during the season wins, but it's also not rare that a team gets hot late and then they take that thing on. How do you feel about us right now going into the play? Not just special teams, but in general, offense, defense, and special teams, all of it. How do you feel going into the playoffs?
I feel good about the offense, especially about the offensive line, believe it or not, because they have played much better the last 2 weeks. Like, we watched that Jacksonville game, and it was brutal. Like, if we saw the Bills that we know and love, the Bills won that game with it, slam dunk. But same thing with Pittsburgh, too. Like, yes, they have a good defensive line, but TJ Watt is just getting all over Allen, like, pretty much on a lot of the snaps. So, when it comes to the offense, I'm feeling pretty good. The defense, honestly, the running defense is my only concern with them because, obviously, it's no secret they've been getting run on a lot this season. You look at Jonathan Taylor, you look at Derrick Henry, Harris for both games. Like, they need to work on that. And you're going to the playoffs now. depending on where you finish, but you're probably going to see again Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Damian Harris, all these good running backs in the NFL now. So I feel like if they can just tighten up that defensive, rushing defense, then I like our chances going deep for a deep playoff run here.
Well, let's talk about this because you're talking about, obviously we were talking about the defense and you're talking about the run game, but let's talk about the offense for a second.
Mhm.
Devin Singletary had his best performance. I want to say, and I might be saying this without really knowing because I didn't go and look this up, but I feel like this was the best performance of his career this past Sunday. He had over 100 yards. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had like his average per carry was very good. So I feel like this was his best performance as a running back as a pro. What the heck is going on? All season we've been complaining like, no, we can't run. We can't. Everybody's averaging 2.8 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry. What the heck happened that now all of a sudden we have a good running game?
Yeah, like even in the Patriots game, like they started getting some traction. Like they had
Yeah.
some good runs, and then Singletary last week just goes crazy, and he has a 20-yard run on one play. And I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. Like we briefly touched on that too. Like they've been much better as of late. We see these videos of Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins absolutely just training guys over like no, they're nothing. So
Mhm.
and Singletary has that speed too to be a good running back in the NFL. Like I feel like you have Singletary who has the speed, and you have Zach Moss who has the size, power. Granted, they're pretty much both the same size, but it seems like Moss has like that more like stockiness to him. So I don't know, and I get the Falcons' defensive unit isn't that good, but and I looked at the Jets and they're like at the bottom, so I expect him to have another good game this weekend. Zach Moss too. So like you said, they're getting hot at the right time. And I just feel like ever since like that second half in Tampa Bay, it's been boom, boom, boom for this team. So they obviously they gotta get one more win. That's the most important win to clinch the division. And you know for a fact the Jets aren't gonna go down without a fight. So I do expect Singletary to have another good game on Sunday.
Well, let me ask you this because I just saw 2 comments in there, one from Steph and one from Mafia Talk. We were talking; they're basically asking like, "Well, is it Rick Bates or Ryan?" But we all his name is Ryan, but he goes by Rick. Is it Rick? Once he got inserted into the offensive line, it seems like things kind of started to click. Do
Yeah.
you feel like that's the reason why Singletary is performing better, or do you feel like it's really one of those things to me where it's like I don't know what's going on because really, like you said, if you go back to 3 weeks ago, before Bates got on the field, Singletary started to pick it up and he looked better.
Yeah.
It wasn't this past Sunday, but he looked better. And now with Bates in, he did what he does. So I don't know. I think Bates absolutely should be starting. I know one of the questions mentioned, like he said, do we put Mongo back in? I'm not on the side of throwing Mongo back in. What we've seen from Mongo this season has not been the Mongo that everybody was excited to extend. Where do you feel as far as that offensive line? Do you feel like it should be Bates? Do you feel like it should be Mongo?
I mean, keep the hot hand rolling with Bates. Why not? Like
Yeah.
this isn't a shot at Mongo. It could be because he's been having COVID too, and I know like we saw Dion who got COVID, and he did not look like the same guy we saw like the last 2 years here. So COVID could have something to do with it. I'm not saying that's the main reason why, but yeah, why not go with Bates? They're clearly doing a lot better with him at the guard or at the on the offensive line there. So like I said, ride that high hand, and you're facing a team who, with all the respect to CJ Mosley, who really doesn't have that good pass rushers. You know what I mean? So like I said, I do expect Singletary to have a good game on Sunday. And yeah, let's keep Bates in. Let's keep it going and gain some momentum going into the postseason.
I'm with you on that, and I think the team likes to ride the hot hand, and I'm not even just in the offensive line. I think same thing. If Zach Moss would have popped first, I think Zach Moss would have been getting the ball. With Singletary doing well, I think he's getting the ball. But I would like to see them be consistent with that with the wide receiver. I still think Isaiah McKenzie needs some more targets. I think even if it's not necessarily targets, get him in the backfield where we're doing some misdirections or do some of that jet sweep stuff that we've done in the past, and just get him involved a little bit differently. Got a good question here from Jessica. She wants to know thoughts on if New England may prefer to lose this game. She thinks New England will prefer the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs instead of the Bills. Now, every NFL player, regardless of, what their record is, I think they'll tell you they don't want to lose. But I do think that there is something to talk about when you're talking about if they would prefer the Bengals or the Bills in round one of the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that? Because we're, this is where we are now. We're heading into the playoffs, and there's a couple routes to get to the Super Bowl. How do you feel? Week one of the playoffs, Patriots? Or do you think that the Patriots would try to get away from us and be like, nah, we want to go see Joe Burrow out there?
I mean, with the way Joe Burrow's been playing, I don't think the Patriots want to see him. I mean, he's been spectacular the last 2 weeks. Boy, he's like 900 yards, passing yards at least in 2 games already.
Man, he's been a beast.
It's and him and Jamar Chase. I would love to see though Jamar Chase go up against J.C. Jackson, because I think that would be a great matchup to see. But I don't know. No matter who the Patriots face, it's going to be a challenge. It's no secret. Cincinnati has been they've been the playoff team all season, but they've also been up and down. Some weeks they look really good, some weeks they look really bad. Just like the Bills too. It's just such a weird season because they have roller coaster Kansas City, and they were terrible to start the season, and now they're back to being the Chiefs that we know and love. And somehow the Titans are still winning without Derrick Henry. It's no matter who the Patriots face this Sunday. The Bills, or next week, my bad. The Bills, the Titans, the Bengals. Assuming the Bills win the division, it ain't gonna be easy for them. And especially,
okay.
No, I was gonna say, especially with a rookie quarterback, I'm not sure if Mac can handle the pressure of a playoff game. And that's not a shot at Mac, like I said, but because he's won games in Alabama, so he knows what he's doing. But the NFL and college football are two different things, especially in the postseason. So I don't know. It's a great question, because I honestly don't know if they would prefer to face the Bills or the Bengals, because the Bills just made it look easy on offense when they face him, and Joe Burrow is playing some of his best football right now. So I feel like that's up for debate a little bit more.
Well, I know the Patriots just won. They put up a 50-burger this past Sunday, and it looked very dominating. But is it me? And it could be me. And I don't mean to come across as disrespectful to the New England Patriot fan base or even to the team. But I really feel like their team, I feel like their record is inflated. I don't feel like, and no pun intended with Deflategate and all that stuff, but I feel like they're not as good as their record shows. And I know a lot of people around the league might say the same thing about us, because we lost games we shouldn't have lost. Yeah. And, but I really feel like when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, it doesn't matter who you're playing, you have a chance to win the game. You got a defense like the one that we have. It doesn't matter who you're playing, you got a chance to win the game. With Mac Jones, I'm not scared of Mac Jones. I don't think, even if the weather, like this last game, the weather was fine, I don't believe that he can put the team on his back and just come out and win the game. He needs a run game. He needs a good defense. We saw last season where we didn't have the best defense in the league, and Josh Allen was able, just as much as possible, it didn't matter. He was out there putting up 45 points one week, 35 the next, 27, 36. Every week he was just out there just dropping them. Yeah. And I just don't, and I get it, Mac is a rookie. I'm not saying that he can't develop to be that good, but first year playoffs, I'm just not with it. I really think that, like you said, I think Burrow, I think whether it's Herbert, whether it's Josh, regardless of who it is, the AFC has some quarterbacks that he's going to have to go through, and it's going to be tough. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the last 2 games before Jacksonville, the Colts game and the Bills game, that was the first time we saw Mac Jones playing like a rookie quarterback. And especially with how intense the playoffs are, it's the next level up from that. So, I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens, obviously, though. But, yeah, the Patriots, they're an interesting team. So, we'll see what happens.
My man Eli says that his path to the Super Bowl that he wants is Patriots, Chiefs, and then Titans. Let's talk about that for a second. Are you afraid of any team going into the playoffs? I know, like last season, it was like the Chiefs. This season, we got beat up by the Titans when Derrick Henry was there. Now, we could have won, so I don't want to say we got beat up like we got completely outplayed. But they play a physical brand of football that I'm not sure the Bills can consistently beat. We haven't done it so far. Jonathan Taylor punched us in the mouth. Derrick Henry punched us in the mouth. Like when there's a hard nosed running back, we kind of just we can't take it. Is there a team coming up in the playoffs that you would be like, nah, I think I want them to face somebody else to hopefully lose?
Yeah. I have a couple teams. So the Colts are the first team, and that's my only concern is Jonathan Taylor. Like, Carson Wentz does not scare me. I'm just gonna say it right now. He does not scare me. I don't think he's a great quarterback. He's an average quarterback, I would say. But as soon as I say that, I might just jinx myself, and he's probably gonna put like 400 yards in if we face him in the playoffs. But if you can just find a way to contain Jonathan Taylor, I don't care what it takes. Like, don't have so much pressure. Like, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, have a guy sit back and in case that he finds a hole and he's going to be taken off. Like, we saw him do that against New England a couple of times. And I see the comment right now from Richard here about Tennessee. Like, they're another team, especially with Derrick Henry. Keep in mind, we were one Josh Allen slip away from possibly going to overtime or even winning that game against Tennessee in week 5, I think it was, or week 6, one of those 2 weeks. So it just proved that, like, no matter who they play, I think they can hang in with them. Like, we beat Patrick Mahomes in his plays this year. We were so close to beating the Titans. Who else? The Patriots, we had no problem going up in their plays. Like, there's just the teams that, you know what? I mean, we have a chance. No matter who we play, we have a chance because you touched on it. Like, they have the offense. They have the defense. If they can just find a way to tighten some things up, I feel good. So, yeah, I would definitely say Tennessee and or Indy. Like, one of those two teams, I'm really confident about everyone else. I know the Chiefs' defense has been playing great as of late, but if we get Bills and Chiefs, I really expect a shootout between Mahomes and Allen. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm actually with Steph here too. Steph brings up a good point. So this is how I feel. And a lot of times I don't speak on it because it comes across as cocky, especially as a content creator when, on this platform, a lot of people from other teams will come to these shows and they're looking for how the fan base feels about the upcoming game. So I try to be careful and not say things that would make the fan base look like we're being cocky or we're being overly confident. But the thing is, this is really how I feel. I'm more worried about our inconsistency than any team. I feel like we can beat all of them. I'm with you, Steph. Thank you for the comment. Steph is on point with this because I feel like we saw games where we absolutely did a very good job with a run defense. Early on in the year, we had a couple games back to back where we're like, oh, this run defense is for real. Then you see times where Josh comes out on offense and he throws for 350, 3 touchdowns, runs for a touchdown, no turnovers. And then you see a game like this past Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, you see a game like this past Sunday where Josh, and I get it, 2 of them were tips, still bad decisions, but you get 3 interceptions. You get a muff punt that turns into a safety. And then you get, so it's like, I try not to I'm not going to be arrogant and cocky because of that. Like, it's the way we shoot ourselves in the foot, the way we beat ourselves up. Before you comment on that, I do want to take a quick second to shout out JustinCaseBags.net. If you haven't been over there this year, please head over to JustinCaseBags.net. They got some really, really good stuff. We got something for the ladies. We got something for the fellas. They got shirts. They got just in case bags. Now, the bags are jiggy because the bags have everything that you need for any type of link, whether you're leaving the gym and you don't have enough time to go home and really, really do it and freshen up like you want, whether you're getting off from work and you're meeting up for a dinner, or whether it's right after the Bills game and you don't have time to get all the way back at home and to make things happen. Just in case bags have everything you need to freshen up so you can get it popping, do what you got to do. And also, I do want to make a quick announcement. Next Tuesday, join me the same place at the same time. I got a big show, big guest lined up. I got my man, Boobie Dixon, former Buffalo Bills running back, one of the fan favorites. And then we got a current, first of all, fullbacks matter. Can I say that? We got my man, Reggie Gilliam, joining us as well. It's going to be the past meets the present. It's going down. It's going to be a great episode. So, but yeah, let's talk about that inconsistency for a moment. Like, do you feel the same? Like, you feel like, well, yeah, we can beat anybody. I don't know. Like, sometimes that's how I feel. It's just like we can beat anybody, but can we beat ourselves, which is what we tend to do.
First of all, I'm extremely jealous that you had those two guys on your show next week. That's amazing. Congrats to you.
Thanks,
That's
man.
awesome.
They're good people. Thanks, man.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, we see this team week in, week out. Like, last year, I keep on telling people this, like, going back to last year, like, after that brutal loss to Arizona, I know you were at that game because you lived in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were just, like, you had all the feeling in the world that they were going to win the game. No matter who they played, like, no matter who the quarterback was or whatever, they can beat them. And then this year is like, okay, what's going to happen this time now? What's going to happen this week? Like, we see the Bills, like, one week we played the Jaguars. We looked absolutely terrible, except for the defense, because they did everything we could to keep us in that game. And then you go into next week against the Jets, and it's like, okay, the Bills are back. And then it's just like these weird, like, this season has literally been a roller coaster. And I know that's a cliche for sports, but it literally has. Like, they lose to the Steelers. They win like 3 or 4 straight. They lose another heartbreaking loss for the bye week. And then it's just like up, down, all week, every season. And then that first half to the Bucs game was just awful. Like, that first half on defense on offense too, remind me of the AFC Championship game last year. Like, they just couldn't get anything going, and they couldn't stop anyone. And then, unfortunately, the flags and everything else that went wrong in that game cost them. It was too little, too late. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you. This team is really inconsistent, and it could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing. I don't know. So, but you can't be inconsistent in playoffs. That's the time not to be inconsistent. So,
yeah,
they are getting out at the right time. And even with Josh playing not his best football last week, thank God for his legs, because Josh and his legs won us that game. Like, it's usually his arm, but yeah, like you said, like, he had 2 interceptions that were tipped, but it was still bad decision making on him. So thank God we have a dual threat quarterback, or else who knows what will be happening right now.
Let me ask you this, man. Let's take a break from, like, the game and the playoffs and stuff like that. Let me get to know you a little bit. Who's your favorite player? Both. Let's do both. Who's your favorite player currently on the team, and then who's your favorite player of all time?
So Josh Allen's my favorite player right now. Give him the welcome to Allentown.
Go get it. Yeah.
I have a little love for Jordan Poyer as well. I know we'll talk about him a little bit, but he just seems like a down-to-earth guy, and he's a playmaker. Like, I love his passion. I love him when he gave it back to Matt Ryan after that amazing taunting penalty that wasn't a touchdown, and then he screwed himself over. So yeah, I agree.
Yep. Poyer for All Pro Rewrite. Do me a favor, everybody. If y'all get a chance, head over to that Buff on Weck website and go ahead and grab this, because we gotta. And it's not even just like to sell shirts. I'm serious. We gotta put on for my guy Poyer. He's been snubbed from the Pro Bowl. He's been snubbed from all types of stuff. We got to make sure. And I've been seeing, like, these charts that just show performance-based numbers and all these things. He is by far ahead of the rest of the league when it comes to safety play. Sorry for cutting you off there. I just had to throw that out there. But go ahead and finish. So your favorite. So Josh and Jordan.
I agree with you. I love Jordan. He's awesome. I grew up during the Bills drought. Like, with the Trent Edwards, the J.P. Lossmans, the C.J. Spiller.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Stevie Johnson. I love his swagger. He was he was a great receiver. I'm trying to think. Like, there's so many players that have come into the Bills door, like, every single season for, like, the last how many years, 20 years or whatever. But just something about Stevie. I loved the way he played the game. Trying trying to think. I do.
He had fun out there. He had
Yeah,
fun, and he had fun at a time where, like you said, it was the drought. So it was at a time where it really wasn't that much fun because it wasn't a ton of winning. But he played like, he put it all out there every single week. I love Stevie, man. I'm gonna have to reach out to Stevie, get Stevie on here and kick it with him one time.
yeah,
Stevie's the guy.
that'd
Stevie's
be
that guy.
awesome. This might not be a popular choice because of the player, but as a person, I love DJ Manuel. Like, I know he didn't work out for us, but he just sounded like Porter. Like he seemed like a down to earth guy, and I love how excited he got when he drew people off sides for the hard count. Like
Yeah,
that was awesome to see. And one more guy too was I love Shady McCoy. Um,
yeah.
that was like the most amazing trade I've ever seen. And like we just like robbed Chip Kelly like nothing. So gotta give some love to Shady because he was great for us as well.
Chip basically gave him away. Like
Yeah, for free.
like the fact that that was insane. But EJ, I think so. I think the thing, at least the vibe that I get around the fan base is that people loved EJ. They just didn't like his performance. And
Yeah,
for me, the performance, I blame that on the coaching staff at the time. I do
yeah,
100%. I think that EJ started off in a very, very good way. I think that he was growing to be like he was going to be legit, but I think that knee injury kind of messed with his mind. And Doug Marrone, he was playing yo-yo with him, like putting him in, taking him out, putting him in, taking, and then I get it. Everybody loves Uncle Rico. We got our guy here with the stash, and he came in, he was throwing touchdowns to Sammy. I get it, but I think that confidence took away from the confidence of EJ, and I just don't think he ever recovered. And Jessica mentions that he's a good contributor for the ACC network, and he does a great job with the ACC network. If you get a chance to check him out, he loves, obviously he covers his squads, FSU, and he loves FSU. So obviously, shout out to EJ Manuel, shout out to all those guys you just mentioned, Stevie and all of them. We gotta try to get them on.
I have another one too. Robert
Mhm.
Woods. I was a huge fan of his. I was so sad when he went to the Rams, but you know what? I'm so happy for him because again, another down to earth guy who seemed like he was a good fit here. There's
Dude,
so
last
many
week.
guys I could name, but
Well,
I
I was
said
just saying last week that if there was a receiver that I miss, like, and there's a lot of receivers that have come through here that's been good, or I miss him. Like,
yeah,
I really miss him. He was that guy that I don't want to call him a possession receiver because he's so much more than a possession receiver, but he made things happen. If it was third and whatever, he's getting you that first down.
yeah,
He's not dropping it, he's not. Guy is solid. The guy is
yeah,
solid.
absolutely. Oh, I gotta give some love to Freddie too. I can't believe I missed Fred Jackson. I can't believe it.
I feel like you just like everybody. The
I
Bills
do.
are your team.
Yeah,
I got you.
I just love everyone. You know what?
Yeah,
If you
no, that's
don't
what's up, man.
if you don't know me, I'm a huge sports guy, and I always root for um, whoever comes in. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but and I'm ready to get attacked. I didn't want Josh Allen at first. I was so upset when we drafted him, and you know what? Thank you, Jesus, because I was wrong.
Yeah,
So I had never
I
been
say the
so
same thing.
happy. Yeah, I'd never been.
So I was upset. I wanted, and I've said this a couple times now on the show. I wanted Lamar Jackson,
Okay.
but I had reasons for one. It wasn't just like it wasn't just because he was Lamar and he won the Heisman. The thing was, with us having the team that we had the year prior and the quarterback that we had the year prior, we had a mobile type situation, and it wasn't the best passing offense, but obviously I got to show my guy some love. I got
Yeah,
to shout out to my man Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod is one of the best leaders that we've had on this roster or on this team throughout the drought. He's the guy that broke the drought. I don't care what y'all say. It had, like, if Tyrod didn't lead us to 9 games, it wouldn't have mattered. If Cincinnati beat the
yeah,
Ravens, none of that would have mattered. So whatever. But the point that I'm making is, after having Tyrod Taylor lead the offense, I wanted to basically a plug and play younger guy who was a little bit more explosive, and I thought it could go. So I thought Lamar Jackson was going to be that dude, and he was. I still feel like if we would have took Lamar Jackson, I would have been completely happy. Like, the guy already won an MVP. Shout out to Off the Record podcast. They love Lamar Jackson out there. My guy, all of them out there, actually, they live in that area, so that's their squad. But and sorry, Jessica, I disagree with you here. The Buffalo Bills won 9 games that year. We can't give credit to another team for ending the drought. It doesn't. We won 9 games. But go ahead.
I would say if we don't win that game, we're not going to playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what Andy Dalton did or didn't do.
Yeah.
We had to win 9 games. So the Buffalo Bills broke the drought, and the quarterback was Tyrod Taylor. And I ain't even hearing no other way. But Lamar, again, like the reason why I wanted Lamar is because, like I said, it was like coming right after the Tyrod thing. Then you look at the way the offense was. I'm like, that's exactly what I want. I want to just keep going. But I was wrong. Like you, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy that we got Josh Allen. And I'm even happy that they stuck with him throughout his couple years of struggle. Because, like the first year was rough. And if we're honest about, a lot of times Bills fans don't want to be honest about Josh's play that first year. It was rough to watch. He had flashes and moments where it's like, yo, this dude's dope. But he had a lot of moments where it was like, he threw that. He really threw that. So, but now we got a guy who last year was the runner-up for MVP. This year he's in the conversation. I don't think he's going to be top 2, but he's in the conversation. And look, we got this for the foreseeable future. We have a stud at quarterback. Yeah. So I'm very happy I was wrong about that. Very happy I was wrong about that.
Man. I agree with you.
Yeah. So shout out to Don. I love Don. She's such a sweetheart. Look, before we got about 15 minutes here. So I do want to give you the opportunity to, let's talk about your podcast a little bit. Let's talk about the content that you create. Now, is it strictly Bills? Do you cover the Sabres as well? Or, what is the content that you create? How do you do it?
So it's called the BFL Sports Podcast. Again, it's on CouchGuySports.com. I do episodes every week. I actually just got done doing it yesterday, so I'm all set with that. It's about the Bills, it's about the Sabres, it's about the Bandits too. I gotta give the Bandits some love. It's pretty much an all Buffalo sports podcast. So now with the playoffs now, it's pretty much, it's like 70% Bills, 25% Sabres, and a little bit about the Bandits as well. But with the Bills season almost coming to an end, no matter what happens between now and February, it's going to be, okay, Sabres, then probably a little bit about the Bandits, and then the Bills be back. And I'm trying to do a thing where, once the season ends and I do, a recap and all that, I want to, take a deeper dive into a player's season. So, take a deeper dive into Allen's season, how much, what we saw from the year before and how can he, improve next year, Stephon Diggs, just these random players, just to, give some content up. And it's something different because I've never done that before. I actually wrote an article about, and to this day, I think it's my best article I've ever written. It was just about why you should become a Bills fan. They have the QB, they have the receiver, they have the coach, they have everything else. It's just, I'm passionate about my team. And
let me ask you this. Dome or no dome for you?
Oh, God, you're going to bring me into this one.
I'm putting you on the spot. Bro.
That's a tough one. Oh, man. I'm going to say no, it's like a two-way street for me when it comes to the dome and no dome debate.
Okay.
If you want that home field advantage, there it is right here. Have it the outdoor stadium, but we saw what happened in that Patriots game. It was brutal, and that was a great day to have a dome. So, I don't know. I feel like if you have a dome, you're gonna have that louder crowd noise because it's trapped into the stadium. We see these loud stadiums like New Orleans, it gets loud down there. But you know what? I had a debate with this the other day. I'm fine with whatever. Just give me a stadium. I love going to Ralph. Yes, I know, but I don't know. It's a tough answer because you talk about home field advantage, and especially if you play these teams like Miami in the playoffs, you're coming down to frigid Buffalo. You're coming up. I suck at geography. You're coming to frigid Buffalo from sunshine, and you know what I mean. So I don't know. It depends. I feel but how about a retractable roof? It opens and then closes if it's terrible weather, because we saw the rain. Yes, we dominated Houston in the rain, but you look at the Colts game, it was terrible. Like, yeah. So that's why it's just a tough answer for me. Like, it's just like a two-way street for me. But what about you? What do you think?
Well, first, shout out to Triggs. He said, "Better let Josh Allen run more if you don't want a dome."
Yeah.
My thing, I'm very vocal about being on the side of a dome. So I live in Phoenix now. Obviously, I go to Glendale where the Cardinals play. I got season tickets. They're in a dome. I lived in Indianapolis for about 6 years. They have a dome. They look. You can have a retractable roof if the weather's nice outside. Open it up. Be outside.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when people say it's an advantage for the home team, we just faced the Patriots in Buffalo, and we couldn't score more than 10 points because we couldn't throw it. A dome would give us an advantage, and I'm agreeing with Jessica here. A dome would give us an advantage over all other AFC East teams. So what happens if we face the Patriots in the playoffs? Or what happens if we face Jonathan Taylor and the Colts the first week of the playoffs, and it's that type of snow in Buffalo, or that wind and sleet and all that stuff, and Jonathan Taylor can do what he does, but it turns back into a normal day at the office for Devin Singletary, and he can't run the ball, and Josh can't throw it, and we can't see it. So that's a home field advantage, but we don't have a better running game. So I guess I understand why people will be on the fence. I'm sorry for cutting you off on all of that. Anyway, we were asking you about your content, and you were talking about your greatest article and why you should be a Bills fan. That's what made me ask about the dome, because Bills fans seem to be split really down the middle about this, which is insane to me that like fans would really want to sit outside in this.
I was gonna say something else too. Like that Colts game in 2017, and it was crazy. Like, the only thing I like about him with the snow is just like the scenic view of the stadium. Like, the snow's coming down, they're playing football, but you have guys like Shane McCoy who are running through it like nothing. So it's just like,
whoa, no, he didn't run through it like nothing. He had that touchdown play at the end, but all the players, if you go back, really, when we get off of this, bro, I'm gonna give you some homework. We're gonna talk tomorrow. I'm gonna hit you up and I'm gonna ask you if you watched it. Go and watch the interviews after the game and that was the December 10th game a couple years back. And I remember because I remember because it's my grandmother's birthday. And I went to the game and then left there and went to her dinner. And I was at that game. I promise you, you go back and watch what Lorenzo Alexander said. Go back and watch what Jerry Hughes said. They did not enjoy playing in that game. LaShawn McCoy hated playing in that game. It's not an advantage, bro. Like, these players, and then we got to think about this too. Yeah, they live in Buffalo during the season because this is where they're employed. These guys don't live in Buffalo all year round, man. Like, they enjoy Miami, LA. Like, they enjoy this nice weather. They got money. They gone. They gone. Get a doggone dome. Let these dudes get these dudes comfortable. Could you imagine? Like, we see, okay, you're right. Josh Allen can throw in windy conditions. Could you imagine if he didn't have to? Like, the numbers that this kid would put up. I'm sorry, he's not a kid. Could you imagine the numbers that this guy would put up if he was like he didn't have to worry about the conditions? And you talk about Tyler Bass. Could you imagine the record he would break? Like, come on, man. Like, he's kicking from 75 yards if he's in a dome.
I would love to have a dome like the Cowboys do, like that nice little view of the sunshine, or like the outdoor. Like, that's just so cool. Chargers won.
Chargers is very nice, very nice. I think, obviously, the newest best one right now is the one out there in Vegas, but for me, either way, like, I don't care if it's the one in Glendale. It's not even like one of those. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. But it serves its purpose. It has the retractable dome. It looks great on Monday Night Football when they have a primetime game. It looks great. Just do it, man. Triggs has another one, and he's gonna get me in trouble. He says us black mixed men are not built for the snow, and I'm gonna just tell you, damn it, he's right. I moved for a reason, man. I can't take the cold. I can't do it. Can't do it. Shout out to Triggs. But like I said, we got a couple more minutes. So before we get out of here, finish about your greatest article. And again, I apologize for cutting you off there. I just had to throw that question in there.
No, you're good. No, it was just like, why should be a Bills fan? And then, like, I put a lot of like heart into like the season last year, because as many people know, like, I didn't grow up like during the 90s with Kelly and Reed and Thurman. Like, I wasn't even alive for those. My only playoff experience before 2017 was the Tennessee game, and it was a 4 pass, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But like, and I was 2 years old. I didn't watch football, and then when I started watching football, I had like Drew Bledsoe,
Yeah.
JP Lossman, Trent Edwards, like all these bad teams. Like it was terrible. And I actually said this on my podcast the other day. Like I'll never get tired of hearing Buffalo and playoffs in the same sentence together because growing up, I only had Sabres and they only were in the playoffs like 4 times. And with the Bills being in the playoffs for the fourth time in 5 seasons, like I don't take that for granted. I enjoy it because I didn't grow up with like what older Bills fans experience. You know what I mean? So, and I know like before the '90s, the Bills were bad too. It's just this time it took longer to finally get it going. But
That's funny, man. Like I think that's part of the reason why I personally dislike Patriots fans or Boston, New England area fans in general. I feel like they got lucky and they got spoiled with the fact that they had a great quarterback, a great team. And when that happens, they don't understand that you should appreciate every year, every
yeah,
win, every playoff victory. So like, and now I'm kind of nervous. I'm nervous for Buffalo because now we're gonna have a generation growing up with Josh Allen who won't understand the droughts and they
yeah,
won't know how to appreciate what we have, and they're just gonna expect. And this is why we have people. And I'm not gonna get into it, but this is why we got people who want to cut players like Tremaine Edmonds, who has made the Pro Bowl every damn year that he's been a pro. Or we got fans at the early part of the season wanting to cut Deion Dawkins, who really only wasn't playing well because he was recovering from COVID. Now he's like looking like Deion. But
yeah.
okay, anyway, just had to get that out.
You're good. No, I agree with you. Like use, and that's one thing. Like people don't understand what Buffalo sports fans have gone through. Even before I was born, like I hate saying it, the 4 straight Super Bowl losses, especially that first one against the Giants. The Bills should have won that game.
Easy.
And if it wasn't for a stupid kick that went outside 2 inches, the Bills would be Super Bowl champions at least once. At least once. And if they would have won that Super Bowl and then lost the other three, that would have been fine. You still won a Super Bowl. And now you look at it now, and I remember like the Four Falls of Buffalo, which was a great documentary. Like they're talking about like how they were being laughed at back then, but now like as you get older, you understand like how hard it is to go back and repeat 4 straight times.
Yeah.
So
It's an
it's
impossible thing. It's impossible.
yeah, it's I know the Patriots did like 3 years in a row, but still like it's not easy. Like the grind of I don't play football, but just like the grind of the NFL season, practicing every single day, and then the playoffs are when you're all like beat up and bruised. Like it's not an easy thing to do, and that's why like I take pride I'm from Buffalo. I don't care how bad my sports teams are. I take pride in being a Buffalo sports fan because like we said with Jordan Poyer, they're not getting talked about enough. Like here and there they'll get talked about, but the Bills themselves, now that they're a powerhouse team and a Super Bowl contender, that's just it's awesome to hear because especially with how I grew up, I never heard that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you because um I just think for me is because I agree that I don't know exactly how old you are, but I was around when they went to the 4 Super Bowls and lost, but I grew up after that. Like life was happening, and that's when
Yeah.
I fell in love with football because I was a kid. Like I was born in '86, so that's another thing. I'm not gonna get into it, but Bills fans my age be acting like, man, I was a Bills fan since 1995. Dude, you weren't. Like you
Yeah.
were a kid and your dad loved it, so you was just like we didn't really understand the gravity of a lot of those games. Like I remember at that time, I was more excited as a kid. The first Super Bowl, I remember they said if the Bills win, there's no school on Monday. That's what I was excited about because I was a kid. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Looking back at those times, they were wonderful. They were great. I started to kind of understand it around like the third one, So I'm just saying, like, we got to be honest about stuff. I became a fan like you with the drought teams. Doug Flutie was my first favorite quarterback for a Buffalo Bills team. He was my first favorite. Just being honest about
Yeah.
that. Some folk can't be honest about that type of stuff. But hey, we got to get on out of here. Let everybody know again where they can find your content. Let everybody know about your team again. Tell us who to follow, tell us who to see, and what you got coming up.
So as you can see right here on the screen, you can follow me on Twitter at ZachJ13_. All my podcasts are going to be on CouchHighSports.com. Again, go check them out. I've been getting the groove of posting every Monday night, but that could change. just because I was working all day. I've been busy, but now it's been freeing up, so we'll see. Next week, I'm going to be, depending on what happens, I'll be talking about the Bills and Jets game no matter what. But I might bring in a guest. We'll see. I haven't thought about that far. But yeah, CouchHighSports.com is where you can find all my work. I always post it on my social media channel. So like I said, go follow me on Twitter. That's really about it. I mean, I've been pushing hard to get some Bandits players on to join the show, but no luck there, unfortunately. I would love to have a Bills player on because if you know me, I love sports. Like sport. Yeah. If I didn't like sports, I'm not sure what I'd be doing with my life right now. So like just talk, and I've had the fortune to talk to some players, just not on the podcast or my YouTube channel. Oh, you can also find my YouTube channel. I do a Sabres YouTube channel. It's called the Blue and Gold Hockey Network. We post every week. My buddy John, not every week, every month. My buddy John and I do it, talking everything about Sabres. But yeah, CouchHighSports.com, BFO Sports Podcast, Bills, Sabres, Bandits, and that's my spiel.
Let's go. My man Zach covers the hockey. There's no way I could do a hockey pod, man. Like, there's no way. But man, thank you for taking the time and coming to do the show with me. I'm gonna make you a promise. This is. Again, I want to start using my platform. Like, God has blessed me to be a part of Buffalo Rumblings, and the platform that they've built has afforded me opportunities that I didn't think I would have. So now going forward, the way I want to do things, man, I want to start trying to make those connections. So for you just mentioned Bandits players and Bills players, man, any connections that I do have, if I can pass them on, let's link, man. I want to make sure that you can grow your platform. You can build your show the same way. And we're going to make that happen. All right.
That'd be
awesome,
my word. That would be amazing. That would be a dream come true for me if that happened. I'm not even kidding, because
no, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
I worked for the Buffalo Bisons as a bat boy for a season, and that was before the pandemic. And I met, like, I'm not sure how much baseball you watch, but
yeah, I love baseball.
Okay, so you know who Bo Bichette is, you know who Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. I met those guys, and you know, I was able to be in the same locker room with them every single day, and I have an autograph, and now I'm gonna be looking back at him when I get older, like, hey, I got an autograph from some of the best baseball players in the world. So that'll be a dream come true if we can make that happen. I appreciate it so much. You have no idea how much it means to me.
Well, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get some good connections with some people, and we're gonna put you in the right space. So, but we out of here, y'all. Y'all know how I do it over here. It's your boy JSpenceTheKing, and I represent that Buffalo Rumblings podcast and YouTube channel. Hey, y'all love each other. Take care of each other and live in peace. And as always, stay positive, test negative. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Let's go. Let's go.
Code of conduct.